Hi there, welcome back to my channel. Today I will be doing the second update on my Pandle Shadows project. The way that this project works is that I have 4 shadows that I'm actively working towards hitting pan on. One of them I selected myself and the other 3 I randomized. There are several rules on this project, and the first one is that once I hit 23 uses on a particular shadow, I can roll it out, but it is a rule that I'm trying not to abuse too much. The second rule is that once I hit pan on a particular shadow, I will remove the entire palette from my randomization list, and that's just because I want to spread out my pans across as many palettes as I can. In my collection, currently only 2 palettes have pan on them, and I definitely want the number to go up throughout this year. Finally, the third rule is one that somebody very kindly commented and suggested for me, and that is that I will not have dupes of the same shadow on the project at the same time. And that rule, the purpose is just so that I do not get overwhelmed or feel like I'm not making enough progress. Finally, one thing that you should know about the way that I go about panning shadows is that I do not drill on the shadows. I will focus on one specific point, but I'm trying to hit pan the way I organically would. So I reach for my shadows the same way that I reach for other shadows. This just means that I'm not trying to waste any product. Like I said, I'm not drilling on the shadow, and also I am not overusing it or over applying it any differently than I normally would, just for the sake of hitting pan. I want to hit pan through use, not through wasting the product. And I hope that makes sense. This of course means that my progress is very slow, but I am okay with that. If it takes me 100 uses to hit pan on a shadow, that's fine by me. I hope it doesn't happen, but if it happens, that's okay. Another reason why I'm doing a Pandle Shadows project is because I am interested in the raw numbers on average, how long does it take me to hit pan across different brands in many different types of shadows like mattes, glitters, or shimmers. And if you're interested in that, well, I hope you'll enjoy this project. I hope you'll enjoy this video, and let's get into it. Gonna come, please. If you hear a weird noise, my cat is on my lap and she probably will start purring soon. This is the palette that I have been working on since the beginning of the year. I quite enjoy this palette because I can usually use at least 2 to 3 shades together at the same time. However, I do not normally do that. The first one is called Culata, and it comes from my ColourPop Going Coconuts palette. I selected this one myself. This shadow is the perfect transition shade. I enjoyed reaching for it, and I also have been enjoying reaching for my Going Coconuts palette because it is the perfect palette for everyday use. Usually if I'm in a rush, I'll just put Culata all over my crease and then a glittery or shimmering shade, and I'm good to go. And because it is such a versatile, easy to wear shade, I reached for it 12 times in the month of February. I can definitely see a dip forming, but I don't think I'm anywhere near hitting pan just yet. I think that this is gonna take several more months, maybe 2, maybe 3, I'm not sure. But that's really fine by me because I'm enjoying reaching for this shade and for this palette overall. The next shade is the first shade on my e.l.f. palette, Kneaded Nude. This is just a plain white shade, and I have been using it to set my eye primer or to kind of get a clean white canvas to start working on my eyeshadows. This is quite an old palette in my collection, and sadly, as you will be able to see in the picture, I haven't used it much. And because this is a shade that I can use with any look, I haven't been reaching for the entirety of the palette, which maybe I think in the following months I would like to change. However, the dip on this shade is so big and so pronounced that I think I'm so close to hitting pan. In the month of February, I reached for it 15 times. I really think that pan for this shade is gonna happen either in March or maybe April, but no later than that. I am so close, I can tell, and I'm so excited about that because it's been a hot minute since I've hit pan on a shadow, probably years. The next shade is called Enchanted, and it comes from my Alter Ego Daydream palette, and it's a beautiful pink, very rich shade. I really like this on my eyes because I feel it makes the green in my eyes pop, and because of that, I really like putting it on my eyes. Also, Daydream as a palette, it is very girly, very dreamy, like the name suggests. In the month of February, I reached for it 6 times. As you will be able to see in the picture, there's a good dip forming, but I have no idea how close I am to hitting pan because I've never hit pan on an Alter Ego shade before. Hopefully it will happen sooner rather than later, but again, I don't reach for this shade a lot. I think last month it was also 5 or 6 uses. So based off of that, it could probably take a while, but that's fine by me. Like I said, I enjoy this palette. I'm enjoying reaching for it, especially when I want my green eyes to look super big and super green. This is the go-to palette for that, in my opinion. Next, we have Thrill from my Alter Ego Artemis palette. This is like a soft brown, a little bit muddy, I think with a little bit of a greenish undertone, and I really enjoy this wearing on my eyes because green is one of my favorite colors. And Artemis as a palette, I also really enjoy it because it has a lot of warm tones like oranges, warm browns, golds. Overall, it's just a palette that I think was made with me in mind. Probably not, but who cares? I love it. Now with Thrill, I don't see a dip forming just yet, and I don't think it will because this formula is more of a cream to powder kind of formula. I think that in order to hit pan, I would have to almost finish the shade, and I'm not ready to do that. So once I hit 23 uses, I will roll this out. Either way, in the month of February, I reached for it 6 times and I enjoyed every single time that I did. I also want to update you on my 10 uses per shadow project, and right now I'm working on my Fest by Natasha Denona palette. Sadly, I didn't reach for this one at all throughout the month of February, and that's because I wasn't wearing a lot of makeup throughout the month of February. I had a bad skincare reaction and my eyes were really going through it. All of this was super dry. I was having to reapply moisturizer about every 3 hours because otherwise it would start itching super bad. And so I decided to prioritize my Pando's shadows over my 10 uses per shade. Hopefully this will get more use and more love throughout the month of March, but I'll update you when that update comes. Now, this is a beautiful color story that this palette has, except for this blue. I'm really not sure what to do about it whenever I reach for this palette because I am more drawn towards these warm tones, and with this blue I never know what to do. I have tried using it as an eyeliner, but it really doesn't have that punch that I would like an eyeliner to have. I do think that a warm look could be more edgy if you put a sharp cool tone blue, but this shade does not give me that, so I'm kind of like, I don't know what to do with you. If I figure it out, I'll let you know. If not, I'll let you know about it as well. Finally, a very lovely person asked me if I could talk about what I'm reading on a video, and because this is usually the shortest video, I decided to do it on this one. I want to preface this by saying that I go to college full-time and I also work, so I don't read as much throughout the semester or as much as I would like to. I do read a lot for my classes, but I don't have a lot of time to read on my spare time what I would like to read. However, when I'm not on school and I'm just working, I do read a lot. Sometimes I will finish a book in a day. However, because of my major, I don't really read books throughout the semester. I usually am reading research papers or maybe chapters from different books, but never really books. However, there is one book that I have been reading since December, and that is the book Dune. I started this immediately after I watched the first movie on Netflix and I became obsessed with it. I think I've watched that movie already like 10 times, if not more. And because I liked the movie so much, I went ahead and got the book. And I have to say that this is a very dense book. I thought that I would be able to finish it throughout my school break, but I didn't because this is a book where the author is building a universe and there's a lot of new characters. Obviously, it is the first book. This book also has a lot of complicated, or I guess maybe older vocabulary that in my opinion is not in everybody's vocabulary. So I did have to reach for the dictionary quite a bit, especially at the beginning of the book. It also has a lot of words that the author makes up. So for that, you have to go either to the glossary or kind of Google them. But if you Google them, I will warn you, you might spoil yourself. Now, for me, the fact that this book has elevated vocabulary that is not usually encountered in other literature or through daily speech is not a problem at all. I actually quite enjoy learning new vocabulary from books, and whenever I encounter a word that I'm not familiar with, I like to look it up, write the definition, and then just put it on the book. And so let me show you just how many post-its there are on this book. It's insane. So we have one right there. Then have another one. And whenever I write the definitions, I do it on this part, but also on this part. We have more, another, more, more. I particularly struggled at the beginning of the book. Now I think I am more familiar with the vocabulary, so I'm reading through it a little bit faster. However, I don't have as much time now, so I'm still going at a slow pace. It is also a very big book. My particular edition has about 900 pages, and I am right here. My bookmark. Despite this being a very dense book, I am enjoying it so much. The writer is really good. He takes a lot of care in how he's building this world, in the character development, and the descriptions are absolutely marvelous. I think this is a book that if you like science fiction, you will probably enjoy. Just take into account that it will probably take a hot minute if you're someone who doesn't have a lot of free time. This is not a book that you will be able to finish in one sitting, not only because of its length, but also because of the content and the way that it is written. There are some books that you can definitely finish in one sitting. For me, in my personal experience, that would be like a John Green book. Usually young adult fiction can be finished up in one day. Books like Twilight, Divergent, maybe even The Hunger Games. I remember finishing those up in one day, maybe two at most. But there are some other books that just take longer, and that's just the way it is. A good example for that would also be Lord of the Rings. I remember the books took me forever to finish, and then I read The Hobbit and I finished that in like 2 days. So it really just depends on the content and who the audience is. I think this is definitely for an adult audience, so it takes a little bit longer to finish, and that's normal. And I'm actually quite enjoying the challenge of finishing such a thick book, both content-wise and length-wise. I do have another book that I want to talk about. This is a book that I am reading for a class. Although I am a psychology and linguistics double major, I am taking right now a Holocaust literature and film class. And for that one, I do have to read a lot, and I'm excited. And so currently, I am reading Jacob the Liar. This is a fictionalized account on the Holocaust. This was originally meant to be a play, and then it got adapted into a novel. You can definitely tell that when you're reading the book. The writing can be a little bit scattered, in my opinion. Sometimes that really pulls me out of the narrative, but I'm not sure if that's intentional. Maybe this is to reflect on the scattered peace of mind that people living through the Holocaust were in, just because they were focused solely on survival. It might be a stylistic choice. I'm not sure yet because I haven't finished it. I do have to finish this before Monday, so I will be done with this by the weekend, and I will let you know what I think of it once I finish it, but this is what I'm currently focusing on. And so that's it for me today. I hope you enjoyed this video. I know that regarding my shadows, I didn't have a lot of progress, but I hope that you still were able to enjoy this content. Let me know if you like to rant about the books. I can keep doing this. I love talking about books. As you can tell, I love them. And I usually try to read a book every month. I do read a lot of different topics. I like fiction, I like poetry, I like theater, I like children's literature, I read manga, I read graphic novels, I read a lot of history, and I also read, of course, a lot about cognitive linguistics. And I read books both in English and in Spanish. So sometimes if I'm reading a book by a Latin American author, of course, I'm going to read that in Spanish because I prefer to read in the original language. But whenever that happens, if I'm reading a book in Spanish, I'll let you know what the title is in English in case there is a translation that you might be interested in getting, maybe. I'm not sure if anyone cares what I'm reading, but if you do, I'll try. Having said that, thank you so much for watching. I hope you have a lovely day. And if you're someone who is doing a project plan, a Pandal Shadows, any of that, please let me know. I would like to go ahead and follow you. Let me know how your progress is going. What are some of the hiccups that you have encountered? And what are some of your successes? I hope you have a lovely day. Thank you so much for watching. Subscribe, like, comment, all of that. And have a nice day. Bye!